some people noticed that Donald Trump tweeted about the support of Netanyahu. This is the art of war. The one thing that Donald Trump is very, very good at is not showing his hand. Look at how long he kept Fauci very close to him. There's an old saying amongst men, keep your friends close and your enemies even closer. And this is in war. This is what we're in. But just because there's not bombs and bullets and everything else, this is the Third World War. It's an information war. It's a propaganda war. It's a vaccination war, a jab war. But it's very, very important that when you look at the information out there, as I do, as SG does, as Paul does, as we all do, you take the information from different sources and you pray and ask God for God's guidance as to what is right. And he'll make it clear to you. God will make it very clear to you what's right. It'll sit well with you. My wife is a brilliant judge at this. She can tell people if they're good or bad just by standing beside them. She doesn't need to talk to them. And we need to adopt that where we're feeling people's vibrations. And it's very, very hard in a deceptive world, but we're in the most amazing time, aren't we, SG, right now? I mean, we're so blessed to have been chosen to come into this time.
You know, we were all chosen for such a time as this. Only this constellation of souls living in mankind at this point to glorify God could redirect and reorient the world. This is not an accident. Everyone that's here and still here and is continuing in the awakening process, it's all by a grand cosmic celestial design that I think in many ways transcends human understanding. And it may be our job more to just enjoy it rather than try to comprehend it or analyze or digest it, despite the fact that we do a lot of that on broadcasts like this. You know, it's worth noting that every terrorism cell, going back for a half century, is funded by the same 4 or 5 individuals, the same 4 or 5 groups. They all tie back, of course, to the same Luciferian head at the very top that has control and has had control of the money. Bibi Netanyahu capitulated to President Trump in 2017. Yeah. What's occurring right now is the destruction of the Israeli military intelligence, sabotage, and traitor community. What's occurring right now is the draw out of child trafficking and the elimination of pathways that go beneath North Africa into the Middle East and up from the Middle East toward the Caucasus regions into central Russia. That's why President Putin is in Kyrgyzstan right now as his first foreign visit of 2023. Because we're talking about reincorporation, and with reincorporation into Russia comes different policies, procedures, protocols that would be implemented and would put away criminality, the likes of which we're discussing. This entire period of time, Charlie, is incredible, and I think it just gets a little bit more dramatic from here, maybe a little bit more like a good Hollywood movie. They like to tell us all of their plans through the pop culture. And so we've sort of reversed that on them in many ways, right? And have blown the narrative open for our plans and our intentions. And we're very loud in proclaiming it, right? We don't do it out in hiding. We do it right in the open for everyone to see. And it's so much more powerful that way also. You know, the Suez Canal is going to come into this conflict before it's over, as will the Strait of Hormuz. And we still have China preparing to go into Taiwan publicly, having already been there a number of times privately in the last 3 to 5 months. That combination, that campaign is going to be, I think, extremely important, because with the launch of a Pacific theater arena of hostilities, we could call it that, we see the mortal blows, sort of a number of 1, 2, 3, 4 punches given to the North American and Western world financial system. Taiwan has been fast-tracked into the International Monetary Fund, and that was actually by a U.S. House resolution to encourage that from the United States. And we have Japan that owns a considerable amount, more than 70% of all U.S. industrial commercial debt, as well as industrial commercial real estate. So these markets being affected by an active conflict will shutter very quickly the ability of Wall Street to keep up. And I think that's one of the reasons that that operation, that portion of this mission along the way in this rooting out and destruction of the deep state has taken so long. It would be one of those cogs in the ladder that you couldn't pull too early, because the consequences that it will generate will not be, there's no takesy-backsies, right? They won't be revocable and manageable. So at the end of the day, I guess where I'm going with this little bit of a monologue is it is an incredible time to be alive. We're watching the reorientation of the entire world in real time. The African nation states are disconnecting from the Washington, D.C. Manipulation matrix and the European post-colonialism that never really ended, right? We're watching China and Russia assist with that and other areas of the world in redesigning and redistributing energy infrastructure, and how physical commerce is transacted across boundaries to help sort of, I think, buffer and protect the world from what's going to occur eventually with the New York Stock Exchange and Western Europe and North America. This is an incredible and amazing time to be alive. The U.S. continuity of government operation right now sort of serving the exact same purpose, right? The Yom Kippur War, the symbolism behind that is sort of undeniable, going back to 1973 and now being relevant here, right? That was the most recent incursion or expansion, I should say, of Israeli territory was 1973. It's no accident that the War Powers Act of